they talking real loud. Spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Amadaya production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on lies, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen AmadayAShakur show. I'm your host, Queen AmadayAShakur, and this is your daily vitamins. Okay, so excuse me for being late. Now, with that all being said, we're about to get into it. I hope that you all saw the video from last night. Okay, that was part one. So we have more information tonight. And with that all being said, everybody hit that like button. Okay, it doesn't cost you a thing. Hit the like button. Don't forget to double check and make sure that you're still subscribed to the Queen's channel, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications. All right, now let's see who's in here. Okay, Aqua Girl Rising, Nessa G, Portia is here, Lillian X, Willard. All right, let's get into it. Claudette, Danny Joe, Bronze Flat Power God, Deronda. Okay, G from the land, Leon is here, Buckhorse DC. Okay, let's get it popping, Star Seed. Everyone hit the like button. Okay, so we're going to have a brief word from my sponsor. Hey, Queen Koya. Yvette is here. Hello, beloved. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, and with that all being said, we're about to get it popping. Okay, here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. And you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, and don't forget that she also sells beard oil. All right, so let's get ready to get into it. Everybody hit the like button. Hold on, beloveds. Sending something to my email really quick. All right. Now, where are we going to start first? Okay, so let's talk about these designer babies. Okay, now this is from some information that was in the Epstein files, designer babies. And I think we spoke briefly about this before, but I didn't really get into the details. I had so many receipts or what have you. But there is a man by the name of Brian Bishop who was talking to Epstein about this. And Epstein seemed as though he was anxious to invest in this. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. All right, so this was sent August the 5th of 2018, right before Epstein got arrested for the last time. It says, attached to the doc you requested. Hold on, let me make sure I'm starting at the right place. Okay, it says, attached to the doc you requested, it's the use of funds spreadsheet for the designer baby and human cloning company. Now, this gets us out of our self-funded garage biology phase to the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibly a human clone within 5 years. Once we reach the first birth, everything changes and the world will never be the same again, much less the future of the human species. Now, attached doc shows 1.7 million per year for up to 5 years, 1 million for lab setup. Okay, and then a 9.5 million to fund 5 years, 6 million for 3 years. Next steps, I am happy to hop on another call, or I could take a trip to meet you in person. And if you have any thoughts about what I might be missing, or whether this is a reasonable estimate to get to the first live birth, then I would really appreciate any feedback you have. I'm traveling in Lithuania from August the 7th through the 14th, and I'll probably be unreachable during that time. Thank you, Brian. And again, this person's name is Brian Bishop. I want you all to pay attention because, Epstein likely wanted to have these babies made. He likely wanted to have these designer babies or clone and whatever he was doing, so he could, arrest them with an E. I mean, with an M. Okay, that's what that sounds like to me. Because what else does he want with babies? And also, there were some of the victims that were impregnated by him. Okay, so let's go to this article from the Daily Mail. Now, and there was another email. I'm not sure what I did with it. There was another email where Epstein was talking about he didn't mind investing. Hold on real quick. Hold on, beloveds. Give me just a second. Okay, let's go ahead with this article. So Epstein linked to designer baby empire and latest files that reveal bid to engineer superhuman clones. And remember all that research that they have been doing for years on the Jamaicans' ability to leap high and jump and run and all of that. And then the Nigerian women's their hips and all of that stuff they were talking about, that probably had a lot to do with this. And they were also talking about DNA and genetics in those same emails. So Jeffrey Epstein was collaborating with a Bitcoin developer on a plan to create the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibly a human clone within 5 years. Now, a fresh batch of Epstein files published by the Department of Justice includes emails between Epstein and Brian Bishop, who in 2018 was seeking financial backing for a venture aimed at genetically enhancing offspring and ultimately replicating humans. So in an email on July the 21st that year, more than a decade after Epstein had already faced criminal scrutiny, Bishop sent Epstein a pitch deck outlining the project and his scientific aims. Epstein replied, "I have no issues with investing. The problem is only if I am seen to lead." The exchange suggested that Epstein was willing to quietly bankroll the effort while avoiding public association. Now, a pattern that would recur throughout their correspondence. So, weeks later, on August the 5th, Bishop detailed the funding required to move beyond what he described as a self funded garage biology phase. And so, basically, that's the information that I just read to you all. Now, after that, prosecutors in the U.S. Virgin Islands filed a lawsuit against the estate of Jeffrey Epstein in 2020, alleging that for more than 2 decades, he orchestrated a widespread conspiracy of trafficking young women and girls to his private Caribbean island. Now, authorities say that he transported them by helicopter and boat, where they were subjected to sexual abuse, with some victims reportedly as young as 11 years old. The lawsuit claimed that Epstein's associates helped conceal the abuse through a complex network of shell corporations and financial arrangements. Now, court filings indicated that some of the alleged predation continued as recently as 2018, overlapping with the period when Epstein was corresponding with Bishop. However, Epstein was first arrested in 2008 on charges related to procuring an underage girl for prostitution in Florida. Following this, he pleaded guilty and served approximately 13 months in a county jail with work release. And let me just add, we've discussed this before, but while he was out on work release, he was actually still doing his dirt. Okay? That has recently been discussed. He was still out there doing his dirt, i.e., abusing people. Okay? So that's just all crazy. Now, there were several doctors that Epstein was also dealing with. And one of them is a doctor who is now supposedly under investigation. And her name is Ava Anderson Dubin. Now, this is a very interesting relationship between her and Epstein because you see, she actually dated Epstein supposedly when she was in college. Now, from the information that I found out, she's a former model and a doctor at Mount Sinai's breast clinic. And she dated Epstein from 1981 to 1990. Then she married a man by the name of Glenn Dubin in 1994. Now, her and Glenn, they have 3 children. And guess who is the godfather? Epstein. Okay, they named Epstein as the godfather to their children. And even after he got, arrested in 2008 and he pled guilty, they both publicly said that they were fine with him being around their children, which I thought was absolutely crazy unless they're into the same things that he's into. And that's what it seems like. Now, and this is all alleged because nobody's proven any of this yet. Now, with that all being said, there were some documents basically where Glenn, the husband, was accused of being involved in some ex trafficking. Now, mind you, the allegations, well, at least one of the allegations actually came from Virginia Giuffre. Now, you all remember Virginia. She's like the most popular of the victims. Okay, but I found it interesting because I said, now, it's already strange that this woman dated Epstein for almost a decade and then she gets married and her and her husband are friends with him. Not only friends with him, they make him the godfather of their children, which is very strange to me. Now, with that all being said, let's get into this whole thing about Virginia Giuffre. Okay, so here's what it says. So Virginia Giuffre, she accused Glenn Dubin in court. Okay, she gave a court testimony. Now, in sworn depositions, and this was around 2015 and 2016, Giuffre said that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell both trafficked her to Glenn Dubin for sexual encounters, and this was when she was a teenager. Now, she specifically stated that Maxwell directed her to have sex with Dubin. And then later in unsealed documents, she also identified Dubin as the powerful business executive that was involved in the encounter or the alleged encounter. Now, mind you, Dubin, of course, as to be expected, strongly denied all of the allegations, calling them false and defamatory. Now, he was never charged with any crime related to the claims. And I find that very interesting, okay? Because when these victims are saying these things, why was no one ever charged? Like, this is so infuriating. Why was no one ever charged? Did they even conduct an investigation or just leave these people to themselves? Absolutely deplorable, if you ask me. But anyway, let me continue. So he was never charged, and the claims basically came from civil testimony and allegations, not criminal findings or proven facts, so they say. But here's the thing: even though they were from civil, when somebody's accusing you of trafficking and doing certain things, they sometimes will absolutely, even if it's a civil matter, they will press criminal charges. Okay, that's what the courts will do. I mean, look at what they did to Diddy. Okay. So anyway, I guess if you're a prominent white man, that just may not be your fate. But let me continue. So anyway, there was a guy who worked for them, and I want to say he was a housekeeper. Hold on. Okay, here we go. So now here's what the male housekeeper said. He did testify, okay, on the behalf of Virginia Giuffre. So he gave testimony relating to Epstein's properties and to some for the or some of the women who later were accusing him, right? But here's the thing: he didn't really testify about Glenn Dubin's alleged accusations about him, or about his conduct, saying that he assaulted anyone or anything. He never really came out and said that. Maybe that's because he didn't actually see it, though he lived in the home and probably knew some things were going on, but just didn't have enough information, I guess. But anyway, he was a longtime housekeeper, and for Epstein, or I'm sorry, no, a longtime housekeeper for Epstein by the name of Juan Patricio Alessi also testified. Now, he testified during Ghislaine Maxwell's 2021 trafficking charges. So here's the thing. The guy basically said in the civil case depositions, it was him and a butler named Ronaldo Rizzo. They reported that a Swedish teenager, now listen to this, that a Swedish teenager told him that she had been pressured for sex and that Maxwell took her passport. Okay, now one of them said that the girl showed up at the house one day, like unannounced as far as they knew. And this was a 15-year-old Swedish girl. She just showed up and then said that Epstein had actually dropped her off. Now, he said that his first thought was that maybe she was an au pair or a foreign exchange student. But pretty soon it became quite obvious that that is not why she was there. And then also said that he could clearly see that Epstein had full control over her and seemed as though he was using these people's home to isolate her, perhaps. Okay, but she later told him that she was taken to Epstein's island, okay, and forced to be an sex slave. And she also said that they stole her passport and she couldn't quite remember how she arrived, how she got back to the U.S. from the Virgin Islands. She said she couldn't remember much of it. And that's likely because she was given illegal substances, if you ask me. Okay, so I thought that was very interesting. And especially that this is the doctor here, Ava Anderson Dubin. And that's her and her husband. Now, we're going to talk about some of these emails that she sent. Let's get into it. There was also another doctor named Dr. Jess Ting. He's mentioned in one of the same emails with her. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And of course, Ava is also denying that anything nefarious, the same spiel they always get. Oh, I had a lapse in judgment. It was a poor judgment call and all this and that. Okay, or I didn't know he was doing X, Y, and Z. Okay, so here's the email from Sunday, April the 1st of 2012. It says, do you mind if I F someone without, do you mind if I F someone with a condom? And then Epstein replies to this person, whomever it is, because their name is blacked out. Epstein replies to them and says, not yet. You must first go to the gyno. Okay, meaning the gynecologist. I just hung up with Ava. She's going to call you. Did you fill app application yet? I'm not sure what AB application is for. Okay, so then it goes on to say, okay, great. Hold on, it says, okay, great. What AB application means? Where can I get it? And then it's an application for volunteer that Sue was supposed to help you with. She says, Jeffrey, I told you they didn't give me any application yet till I will be accepted by the International Volunteer Service Department. Did Eva call you? Now he's saying Eva. Hold on. Is this the same person? I think so. Okay, but anyway, let me continue. So he says, did Eva call you? Do you have off from school Friday for holidays? Eva will organize the PUSSY doctor. Do you not hear this? Okay, so that was the one, and I'm not sure who this person is or how old they are, but they sound like I don't know, they sound like they may not be an adult because they're asking him permission if they can do this, that, and the third. And he's telling them, well, wait a minute, you got to go to the doctor first. So I find that all very interesting. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is all so sick. Okay, now here we go. Hold on, beloveds. I'm checking something really quick. Okay, I see what's going on here, beloveds. I just figured out what's going on here. Hold on. Okay. Now that was my mistake. Okay, that was my mistake. Her name is not Ava. I don't know why I thought it was Ava. I guess I must have been reading it when I didn't have my glasses on. But her name is Eva. Okay. So he's talking about Dr. Eva Dubin, like I thought. Okay, so now let's go to this next email. Okay, so now remember, he was telling her to wait till she visits the gyno and asking her if Eva had called her. Okay, so now, make sure I'm starting at the right place. Okay, so now, hi, Jeffrey. This is Monday, April the 2nd, 2012. Hi, Jeffrey. Eva gave me the number of a doctor. I will call and make appointment, but what should I do if they ask how I will pay? Then he says, I pay. Okay, thank you. But should I say Jeffrey Epstein will pay? Do they know you? Find out how much and get Bella to pay. Eva gave me two numbers and I called. First number, they said closest date could be only next week. Then I called to the second and they have free space for tomorrow afternoon. So I make an appointment with them and they said first visit with a doctor without the insurance will be $600 in cash. Isn't too expensive? So she's asking if it's too expensive. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Okay, he was a whole trafficker. Okay, now this is where another doctor is mentioned. His name is Dr. Jess Ting. And let me put his picture on the screen. This is him right there. Mind you, none of these people have been arrested, but some of them have been put under investigation or had to resign. Okay, so now this one says it's from Jeffrey to Eva. Okay, this is October the 6th of 2012. Okay, Jess Ting is standing by. Call me as soon as you land. I will go with you. I am flying to New York, will land at 6. Oh, I'm sorry, I read this backwards. Okay, the first part says, I am flying to New York, will land at 6:30. Blank fell off the ATV and needs stitches in her forehead and an x-ray to ensure no concussion. I wonder if she really fell or he went upside her head. Can you organize? Thanks. We'll call you later or try my cell. That's when she says, okay, Jess Ting is standing by. Call me as soon as you land. I will go with you. Okay, here's the next one. These doctors should be ashamed of themselves. I really think they need to be in prison for even aiding and abetting. Okay, now this one says, this is from Jeffrey to Ava or Eva again, October the 3rd of 2013. Says, here's the summary of what I'm trying to do for KP4. Budget is $5 million. Goal, create an all women's post-op cancer floor where patients that have just finished ovarian, uterine, cervical, or breast cancer surgery will be staying. Now, the floor will have trained nurses in this type of post-op care. There will be a few private rooms, but most will be semi-private rooms. It will be a floor open to all socioeconomic groups of patients. It will be totally covered by insurance plans, including Medicaid and Medicare. There will be a room on the floor which serves such as hair wash, yoga in a chair, physical therapy, and psychosocial services. The floor will be a naming, or the floor would have a naming opportunity. For example, the Epstein floor for women, if so desired. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Now, she was talking about having the floor at the clinic that she works at named after him. Okay, now I wonder how much he was paying her. I wonder how much money he was paying her. Very interesting. Now, Dr. Jess Ting, he's a prominent plastic and reconstructive surgeon. Okay, he also specializes in gender affirming surgery, FYI. Also, he's the director of surgery at Mount Sinai Center for Transgender Medicine and Surgery in New York. And he's recognized for pioneering techniques in transgender care and is featured in the documentary titled Born to Be. So, with that all being said, he worked very closely with Eva Dubin because they both worked for the Mount Sinai Clinic. She just worked in a different area. She worked for for cancer patients, breast cancer specifically, or most often, but also dealt with other types of cancers. And he was a plastic surgeon, which would explain why they wanted him to fix that woman's face. Okay, to fix that girl's, whoever, I don't know if it's an adult or not, but that's why they would have wanted him to do the procedure on her face. She said he was standing by. So, like I said, these doctors kept his secrets and all of that. And quite frankly, it's just disgusting and despicable. Now, here's an article about it from Politico. It says, anything is possible. How Jeffrey Epstein received special treatment at one of the country's elite hospitals. The convicted ex-offender enjoyed unusually close access to Mount Sinai doctors, according to records. So 1 week before Christmas in 2014, an assistant to Jeffrey Epstein reached out to a plastic surgeon with a special request. Would he see a friend of Epstein's to fix a hole in her nose from a nose ring while she was in town for a week? The surgeon, Mount Sinai's Jess Ting, said he was about to head on vacation, but for Mr. Epstein, anything was possible. That's what he said in the email. Now, Ting's years of correspondence with the convicted ex-offender and others in Epstein's orbit were part of a tranche of more than 3 million pages of materials released publicly by the Department of Justice. So a Politico review of the newly released Epstein files found the late financier gave at least $250,000 to Mount Sinai in the years after his 2008 conviction on state charges for soliciting a minor for prostitution, well over 10 times what had previously been reported. Now, through his wealth and connections, Epstein benefited from unusually close access to doctors at the prestigious Mount Sinai Health System, including Ting. Examples include email correspondence between Epstein and his staff with a Mount Sinai cardiologist about an ambulance that he wanted to purchase for his private Caribbean island, Little St. James, which would later become infamously associated with Epstein's underage trafficking activities. Epstein received personal invitations to events at the Palm Beach Country Club hosted by Mount Sinai trustees. He benefited from house calls to get a flu shot and have a lump examined. Epstein even hosted Ting and his family on the island for a day in March of 2013, while the surgeon was vacationing in nearby St. John. This is all according to an email from Epstein's assistant that references the past visit. Now, a copy of Epstein's schedule for the day suggests that he was away when Ting visited. They say Jeffrey would like to enjoy you on a day on his island during your vacation. We can have you and your family picked up from St. John or whatever day is convenient for you. Brought to Jeffrey's island to play with his toys and have some lunch. This is what the assistant told Ting beforehand. And he said, that is incredibly generous of Jeffrey. Now, I hope that you had a nice visit to Jeffrey's Island last Friday. That's what the assistant sent him in an email after he'd been there. Ting, who was later promoted to surgical director of Mount Sinai Center for Transgender Medicine and Surgery, declined to comment without permission from the health system to speak to Politico. Now, Politico sent a list of specific questions to Mount Sinai about Epstein, but the health system declined to comment. I bet they did, because they were probably all benefiting from it. Do you all hear this? They say prestigious nonprofit hospitals from California to New York have been known to give preferential treatment to donors, and many have offered luxury suites, or many now offer luxury suites and private concierge services to attract well-paying VIP patients. The new details about Epstein's involvement with Mount Sinai paint an even fuller picture of the lengths that nonprofit hospitals go to in order to curry favor with major donors. So they'll pretty much do anything for money. That's what it sounds like. Now, Epstein faced various state and federal charges. Okay, we already know about all of that. Okay, but I find that interesting, don't you? And then it says in August of 2019, after the Miami Herald found Epstein gave at least $15,000 to Mount Sinai, the health system pledged to contribute a sum equal to the donations that we received from Mr. Epstein and his foundation to a charity focused on preventing human trafficking and sexual exploitation, as well as providing financial support for the work for our sexual assault and violence intervention program. Do you all hear these people? They are so so full of it. Now, I bet you they had no idea. I bet you they had no idea whatsoever that these files would all one day come out and they would be exposed. Okay? Acting as though they only got $15,000 when they got well over 200,000. And then talking about they're going to donate to a charitable organization that deals with people. Please. Okay, please. Absolutely egregious. Now, with that all being said, here's another email about those designer babies. Okay, let me share my screen. This was sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Brian Bishop, July of 2018. I'm traveling in Midwest. Hold on, let me make sure I'm starting at the right part. Okay. Okay, says here is a deck about my designer project, my designer baby project. I have talked with Austin again, and we have a series of questions about how serious you are about wanting this and what the ground rules are for me even exploring this with you and getting to next steps. Most of these questions are around your requirements for secrecy and privacy, specifically regarding reputational risk and also any financial involvement. I think there would also need to be some understanding about goals and feasibility of different results. I think that one way this could be done is under the banner of my Designer Babies project, since the other deliverable is similar and shares so much of the same procedures and lab requirements. This might offer a sufficient level of deniability. Do y'all hear this? Deniability. I propose another call on Monday in the afternoon to discuss these issues. Please propose a time. Thank you. And that was from Brian Bishop. Okay, and then Epstein says, I'm traveling in Mid-East until the 1st. Let's do it after that. I have no issue with investing. The problem is only if I am to lead. Now, here is another one from, I think this is from Eva. They have the person's name redacted. Now, this was talking about bringing some friends over. I'm not sure where they were going with this. Okay, it says Freedom Tail Number, my new heli. And then it says, I'm at the ranch. It says beautiful. Then it says, I'm at the ranch. Come and visit next week. Blank will have 5 friends over. Okay, there's so much redacted. I can't tell. I don't know who was having 5 friends over, but I'm sure it was for something nefarious. Okay, something unsavory to say the least. Now let's go to this one where they're talking about boys with toys. This was sent from Tom Pritzker. Okay, Tom Pritzker is the guy who was like, I think he was like the CEO of the Hyatt, but he has recently had to resign because they found out about his ties and associations with Epstein. Okay, it says, I am in a remote valley of Afghanistan. It's my birthday wish with boys with toys. Spent time with Petraeus yesterday, and he loaned me a chopper. Actually, 2, with one as a backup. Can't call till tomorrow. Now, I found this very interesting because do you all know who he's talking about when he says Petraeus? Do you all have any idea who he's talking about when he says Petraeus? He's likely talking about General Petraeus. Specifically, I think that because he said something about he loaned me a chopper. And also the fact that he was in Afghanistan. So I find that very interesting. I believe he was definitely talking about General Petraeus. Okay. Now let's get a little bit more into Tom Pritzker. Okay, so Thomas Pritzker announced his resignation as the executive chairman of Hyatt Hotels in February of 2026, following the release of documents from the Epstein files investigation. Now, he stated that he exercised terrible judgment in maintaining contact with Epstein and Ghislaine and felt the need to protect the hotel brand. The announcement was made February the 16th of 2026, with him stepping down immediately as executive chairman. He also announced that he would not stand for re-election to the board. And then, of course, he claims that there was no wrongdoing and all of that. Okay, so I find it all interesting. All of these people have the same song and dance. Every last one of them. Now, let's talk about how Eva is being investigated. So the Mount Sinai Hospital in New York has formed a committee to investigate the ties between Dr. Eva Anderson Dubin, who's a leading doctor at the hospital and founder of the Dubin Breast Center. Okay, and the investigation follows the release of new documents from the Department of Justice, which detailed a long-standing personal relationship between the Dubin family and Epstein, even after his 2008 conviction. Now, Mount Sinai is reviewing the connection between one of its leading doctors. Okay, and they say that she's the former Miss Sweden. She dated Epstein in the 1980s. She and her husband, billionaire Glenn Dubin, remained friends with him, with their children referring to him as Uncle F. The files reveal that Dr. Dubin acted as an intermediary between Epstein and the Mount Sinai doctors and had offered to name a wing of the hospital after him in exchange for a donation. Okay, now a spokesperson for Dr. Dubin has stated that she was unaware of Epstein's vile and unspeakable conduct and would have cut ties with him had they known. She also testified that she never witnessed or suspected his criminal activity. The committee is looking into the relationship between her and Epstein and other faculty members at the hospital. Well, I hope they look into Dr. Justine as well. Okay, so do you all hear this? She's trying to pretend she didn't know anything about it, but lady, he dropped off a 15-year-old at your house and she knew that Epstein didn't have any kids. Didn't they wonder where that child came from and why was it there? Probably for her and her husband to have threesomes. Okay, it was clearly something nefarious. All of these people tell the same lies, though. Okay, they all want to pretend they didn't know, but here's how you know that they knew. Because they even said something about maintaining the relationship, saying it was a mistake to maintain the relationship after his conviction. Okay? Which detailed a long-standing personal relationship between the Dubin family and Epstein even after his conviction. Okay, well, it doesn't say that they knew that he had a conviction, but they probably did. Okay, this lady knew him since the 80s. She dated him and all of that when she was in college and stayed friends with him the entire time. So I'm quite sure she knew what he was doing, and I believe she was doing it too, because if you're dating someone who's a whole predator and you stay with them knowing that they're a predator, now I can't prove that she knew. I'm just telling you what I think. But if you know that they're a predator and doing such sick things like that, and you're willing to deal with that, you're likely a predator too. I mean, let's not forget how he got Ghislaine Maxwell to do his bidding. Okay, it's all sick. All so sick. Now, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. So, with that all being said, let's go to this Epstein survivor and listen to her story. I'm going to share my screen. Her name is Gina Lisa Jones. I'm going to use an overlay just in case.
Believe Epstein is dead?
Being the therapist, go back and forth on this a lot.
Everybody does.
Do I think he's dead? He could be. Do I think he could also be living underground? Very much so. He had too much information on too many people, and it's very clear in the release of these files. Even the redacted files, it's still very clear the ties and who he was hanging out with and who he was around, that he had on people. And
The most ridiculous part of all of this is that they're going to release the files, and then there are huge chunks that are not being released.
and then
So what are we doing?
why are we protecting them?
What the is that?
Men or women, I don't give a who you are. Fall, everybody. I don't care who you are, what power level you are. The fact that we think that anybody thinks that they're above the law, because if this was a normal person, when he got in trouble the first time, he would still be in prison right now. He would have never, ever gotten that. They had 40 minors that they could have accounted him for in Palm Beach. He got charged with one and then one prostitution. They stopped looking for us. They got to a number back then and they were like, how are we going to cover this one up? We're finding girls left and right. And then they thank God I wasn't found or involved in that back then, because I don't know if I would have made it out of that, because I have talked to survivor sisters and his teens were hunting them down and stalking them at 16, 17 years old, 18 years old, and watching their houses, pulling up their MySpace profiles, using any picture of them at a party or something against them. Like, I was so broken back then. If that would have been used against me, the things that I was doing back then, or being any of that, I don't know that I would have made it out. And some of these girls didn't. They didn't make it out. We have lost numerous girls to this. It's hard and it doesn't go away. And every day we can't escape it right now. And people forget that. I go to the gym, it's on the TV. I go to dinner, it's on the TV. You can't go on social media. You cannot escape it right now. And then I still watch nobody doing nothing about it. Can't escape it and nobody's doing anything.
How does that make you feel?
Enraged.
Yeah.
Livid. Never thought I would want to be in politics, but it makes me want to get in there and clean house for them.
There's never been a more embarrassing time to be an American.
I asked for refuge with the Australians if it's too bad. I was like, will you guys take me in? Like, that's sad. We're supposed to be the greatest country in the world, and we can't protect children. And these people don't stop doing it. They don't just stop. Even if they're worried about getting in trouble or think that they might get in trouble, they're still doing it. Don't think that it isn't. And it could be your kid next. It doesn't have to be a low poverty child. That wasn't the case for all of us. Palm Beach, he got a good grip. He got a good grip on the poverty children, but that was not the case. Some of those girls came from great homes with great families and they still got sucked into it. So don't think for 1 second that couldn't be your kid next. It's the same thing when it comes to, don't think it ever can't be you or your family, because it is.
If, let's say Epstein's still alive somewhere, what would you want to have said to him? Because if he is alive, he'll see this.
If he's alive, I would have to say, you stole everything from me that day. You set the tone for my life. You made me feel less than. You made me trust people that I shouldn't have trusted. You destroyed my friends. I will never, ever get that peace back. I will forever, ever be haunted by you. And you should be haunted by us.
Let me tell you all something. Here's the thing. You know, when you listen to these victims, you can see the pain in their faces and hear it in their voices. It is very disturbing to watch. But also, I want you all to think about this. You know, the transference of energy. like I always tell you all on the spiritual channel, the transference of energy is contagious. And then you create soul ties when you have relations with people. So I want you all to think about the demonic people that do these sorts of things and how some of them are not even human, in my opinion. They're Nephilim, they're reptilians, they're just not of this world. Think about these demonic beings having relations with these young, impressionable children. Think about the energy that it puts on them that stays with them. Think about it. This is why they have so much trauma that they can't escape. That energy has been embedded in them. Okay, creating soul ties. These people need deliverance from the trauma. And I don't think they often realize that. But it's just very sad. Now I'm going to go to this video. This is a former CIA, and he's talking about Epstein has every major U.S. politician on video. Let's get into it.
Epstein has every major U.S. politician on video doing something terrible, probably to a child or to multiple people. The bottom line here is the United States government has become so corrupt that the time has come, I think, to clean the crap out of the stables and start over. What has happened over the years is the federal government has become an oppressive imperialist power in debt to the banks. We should not be borrowing money. The Constitution provides for printing money, not borrowing money. We've now reached the end of our descent into hell. For 1/3 of what we all spend on military wars, not the military, but military wars, for 1/3 of that, we could raise the 5 billion poor. The whole point of grand strategy is to not only prevent wars, but to stop refugees from coming here. Those refugees are coming here because we bombed their country into nothing. If you continue to bomb the rest of the world, they are going to come to your neighborhood because it's the only one not being bombed. Jeffrey Epstein has every major U.S. politician on.
And that sounds absolutely true. Okay? That makes a whole lot of sense. America does nothing but bully other nations, okay, and then try to run them and all of that. And yeah, then they want to get mad. These minions want to get mad when other people come here. Okay, please pay attention. Okay, let's roll the next clip. Now, this is an Air Force technician who recalls working on the moon, is what she says. And then she talks about reptilians. Now, I'm not sure if I believe this story, but let's listen to it and see what y'all think. Because I'm not too sure anybody has gone to the moon, let alone worked on it.
The reptilian on there. He moved out from behind the beam and we could see him, and it kind of took my breath away. It was such a frightening thing to look at. And I think the reptilian may have been piloting the craft. And there was a gray. It seemed like I heard him in my head, and he was kind of thinking, why would these people do this to one of their own people? They told us it was the moon. We were taken off and then we were conducted to these buildings. I worked in some excavation equipment, and it used electromagnetism to excavate. Then at night, I wasn't allowed to sleep. I was kind of passed around. I have a little girl to go back home to, so I was pretty compliant. There are extraterrestrial bases on the other side of the moon as well. And I saw an exchange, and the ET was saying, you have no idea who you have there. Do you realize that everything you're doing to her gets reported back to her people?
What did the ET mean by her people?
I'm part of a fifth dimensional extraterrestrial race that's monitoring what's going on the planet. There was like a reptilian on there. He moved out.
Did y'all hear that? She said she was part of some race that was monitoring activity on the planet. Is that what you said? What do y'all think? I'm not too sure about that one, but let's continue. She starts talking about being on the moon. MXUI says, she sounds so high. Someone go get her some Narcan. Okay, talking about get her some 12-step info. She needs it bad. Okay, I don't believe that anybody was working on the moon. I'm sorry. Maybe if she'd said Antarctica or something like that, maybe that would have made a bit more sense to me. Y'all are something else.
Julian Bryant, recognized as an Epstein Island survivor, said that she witnessed Epstein shapeshift into a reptilian, devil-like creature. Let's check this out.
Talk about that. So waking up in a lab, this was not on the island. This was in New Mexico.
On the island, I saw him
Okay.
in the bedroom.
Let's talk about that first, and then we'll touch on this lab experience as well. So, can you explain what you mean by shape-shifting here?
Well, when I was in the bedroom with him, because he used to take me into that small bedroom, and it was always dark and really cold, and then it was almost like when he was orgasming or something. Like I looked at him and suddenly his face like grew like big like this, and then I saw these huge black eyes like this, and then a big mouth with this horrible tongue and like this sort of dragon horn stuff, which is like almost like the devil. Or,
I know a lot of you have a hard time believing that there's reptile beings controlling us, but it's really time for you to start waking up and smelling the fucking coffee, because they've been here. They're using technology to blend in with us, as you guys can see up there, and they've been here. This is not new, people. This is new because you've been programmed and lied to your whole life. They gave you religion. They poison your food. They poison the air. They poison your mind. They're poisoning everything. They're lying about everything. Everything is a fucking lie. Like, honestly, like truly, from my heart, it's all a lie. And when you finally wake up and realize that there's the aliens that they tell you to look for in the sky are here controlling us. They've been. So wake the fuck up, people. Jeffrey Epstein maybe was never a human to begin with.
Okay. There are ancient entities that walk amongst us, specifically these Draco reptilians. Remember, I told you all that I used to have a reoccurring dream about these things when I was a child, like 4 and 5 years old. And I would tell my mother about it. I would be so scared, and I would tell my mother about it. And then one day we saw this movie called The Swamp Thing. I remember we saw this movie called The Swamp Thing, and I told her, I was like, Mom, I said, that's the thing that I see in my dreams. Okay. And she said it was a reptilian. She said that must be a reptilian. I don't even know how she knew about that stuff back then. One thing I will say is my mother was always woke. Okay. Now, with that all being said, let's go to the next clip.
First species on the face of this earth to be aware of evolution, to be aware that we are affecting our own evolution by everything that we do. The babies we eat, the food we eat, the wars we fight, the babies we eat.
I don't know about you. Did you hear what the Taking of Deborah Logan just said? When somebody tell you who you are, you better believe them.
We are the first species.
Now, did you all hear what she said? She said the babies we eat, the food we eat. Okay, was that a Freudian slip? Was that a Freudian slip? Why would anybody even accidentally say that if they weren't doing it? I have several questions. Okay, I have several questions. Please pay attention. But let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Okay, so now let's go to this video from Orlando Brown. And I'm going to put an overlay on this because I do not have permission to be using it. He's talking about the panda eyes. Now, I have mentioned that to you all before about the panda eyes. I literally did a whole video on that. But this is what Orlando was talking about. You put an overlay on here real quick. Okay, here we go.
See black eyes like Blueface and, you know, like that. He got beat up, but he didn't get beat up where you thought he got beat up. He got beat up somewhere else. Okay. And so the eyes come out and they call them panda eyes. And they do this so you see people with these cigars and they're you know, all these big celebrities, they all have the cigar in common. That's that big ass thing between their legs that they're sticking in. And it's one big society of it. Now, when it comes down to the selling of there's shipping and trafficking and people adults, the moms, the dads, right there on Target commercials, right there on Walmart commercials. And you're looking at the people that are missing and they're smiling like they're happy, but they're going back to hell. And that's really what it is. These are actually adults. Jeffrey Epstein created this saga, and this is what he is great at doing. He's great at kidnapping someone, turning them into putting them in a dead celebrity's body, and screwing the life out of them after he makes a ton of money off of their ass on his private little beach. So you have a private little beach full of celebrities and bodies getting screwed, and nobody cares because they're supposed to be dead. And this has been a major market that he tried to blame on Oprah Winfrey. So, yeah. You see black eyes like Blueface, and
Okay, that was all nefarious, especially when he said Blueface got beat up, but he didn't get beat up that way. Ah, okay, I am so through. So with that all being said, let's continue. Let me take this overlay off the screen. Okay. Now, here is a video about someone who was supposedly 20 weeks pregnant by Jeffrey Epstein. This was in the Epstein files. Another creator found it. Okay, so let's get into it.
This is the diary in the Epstein files where a young girl writes in code that she was forced to have children for Epstein. The code is in a zigzag format, so the way you read it is top letter, bottom letter, top letter, bottom letter. I'm just going to read what the text says, uncoded. The game stopped, but not in a way I thought. I did not have to go with anyone except Jeffrey, and now he and Ghislaine are fighting because I am over 20 weeks with a baby we are certain is his, and I had to go to the Bahamas like this. And for some reason, no plan has been made because he doesn't want a procedure and she does, and I'm certain this is time critical, but they won't stop fighting. I don't want to be tied to Jeffrey for the rest of my life. Playing the piano well is not a good reason to think someone has good genes or should have a baby. What about Ghislaine? I am too young and he is too old. Why is no one doing anything? I don't understand. I don't want this. I don't want another painful procedure, but I don't want this. So below that, it says, that company doesn't protect kids. They use it to find us and they are everywhere. I cannot escape. And then we have magazine clippings that say things like, you do not have a choice in his little plan. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos going over these diary entries.
So let me say this. For those of you who remember, I did also review some of that young girl's diary. Okay, I also decoded some of her diary, not the whole thing, but that part that she was talking about, I didn't share that with you all. I talked about the part where she was basically accusing Jeffrey, saying that he was using her as a human incubator, and where she talked about how she gave birth to a baby and Ghislaine Maxwell took it out of the room and she heard the baby whimpering. Then all of a sudden the baby stopped whimpering. She couldn't hear it any longer. When Ghislaine came back into the room, Ghislaine was speaking about the baby in past tense, saying things like, oh, she was a beautiful baby. So they basically took the baby from her and killed it, I'm sure, sacrificed it or whatever. Okay, so let's go to this next clip.
Forstall is told that every book in the libraries, every book in the colleges, every book in the universities, every book on this planet is misinformation. It's misinformation. So, which is initiated by the Draco reptilians as far back as 6,000 years ago.
The reptilians really came into control and started to be able to manipulate what was going on the face of the planet about 6,000 to 7,000 years ago. It is true that they have different masking technologies to be able to be in a room and look like a human, but usually they're in underground bases in various places on the globe, as well as in a huge area in Antarctica. The southeast region has a large number of underground caverns that are kept extremely warm, too warm for humans, by geothermal heat. It's a perfect place for all of these colonies that the reptilians have. They're basically cities, huge cities with millions of them.
So, the Secretary of the Navy selects Rick Abada. He's not even an American. He comes over here with his family. He goes to school here. He goes to the second year in high school. He leaves school. He joins the Navy as a third-class seaman, works his way up in the Navy. Now he's a commander, okay? That commander is selected by the Secretary of the Navy to head up all of these operatives to go back into Germany and find out what's going on. Because that individual had never had misinformation given to him about every technical field on the planet.
Everything we learn in the establishment-controlled education systems is specifically designed to program our minds away from the truth. Physics is wrong. Medicine is wrong. History is wrong. Everything we are taught in textbooks is mainly wrong. And this is done purposefully so we don't understand how to move our bodies, how to feed our bodies, what really happened in the past.
Okay, because they don't want you to tap into your powers, your spiritual gifts. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Like up, everyone, please like and share. We're almost done. I'm not going to be here all night tonight. Okay, now this is a former Area 51 scientist. Let me put an overlay on here.
Here now, where there are 1,833 of them that have been living underground between 100 and 200 miles beneath the surface. They've been here, some of them have been here a long, long time. They have lifespans that are thousands of years. They're carnivorous. They're not friendly to mankind, at least the ones that are here.
Are they carnivorous? They eat humans?
Yes.
Pay attention, he said they're carnivorous. They eat humans.
And they need to be, they won't eat a dead human. It has to be alive at the time of the killing. Their preference is children. You know, and we've been told, you shouldn't talk about that. You know, there are other people say, well, you better not talk about the reptilians. Well, you know, bull. You know, why not? According to the Andromedans, they're responsible for 31,712 children disappearing in the last 25 years from the United States. These children were food. And I'm supposed to just shut up and not say anything about it because people don't want to hear it? That's tough. That's tough. You know, Westchester County, in the last 5 years, 3,000 children in Westchester County, New York, have vanished without a trace. Where are they going? Why are we allowing this to happen? And why should people stay in denial about it?
Now, how are they able to do this? How are they able to? How are they able to? How are they able to do it? How are they able to come up out of this from underground and do it? Or do they have?
There are tunneling systems everywhere. They're being helped by the Greys, and also there are groups within the higher echelon that are actually helping them acquire this.
So human beings are abducting the kids and getting them to the Greys, who in turn give them to the Alpha Draconans?
That's right. That's part of the deal. They won't come up as long as we feed them down there. You understand? It's about human beings selling themselves out. The echelon attitude here, the needs of the few outweigh the needs of humanity. And sorry, that just isn't right. But it's going to have to be humanity that's going to rise up and take the stand. You're just going to have to turn off your televisions. They're going to have to get in their car. They're going to have to fire everybody in Washington, D.C. that knows and does nothing. And they're going to have to do something. This apathy's got to end. Otherwise, the way we live is going to end. Period. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I'm not coming from a fear space. I'm really quite angry about the apathy and the fact that, when people give lectures and try to tell us, people want to stand up and fight with them. Look at what's happening around us. The indications are everywhere, everywhere. The truth is now an obscure thing. The lie is the norm. There's something wrong here. What's wrong with this?
Okay, I find that all very interesting. Now let's go to this next clip.
Remember the time when I told you this? I know you're indoctrinated. I know you don't want to wake up from the Matrix. Speaking of Matrix, I've been reading this book by David Icke called Children of the Matrix. It's 10 hours of reading. I haven't finished it yet. I only got 6 hours in. But from beginning to the 7th chapter, I realized all races on the planet had help from the reptilian race to erase our memory. Every ancient civilization is our civilization. That they had help. They had help. And you can follow the bloodline yourself and see who the people is in power to this very day. And this whole war that we've been going through for 6,000 years is about genetics. It clearly states that this whole war, the reason for the hatred of us is about genetics. They said in that book that we are the only race on the planet whose genetics cannot be tampered with. It's a lock on our DNA. This is the part where I would say, here's some proof, but I can't say that this time. The whole point of the video is to show you who our true enemy are. Our true enemy are the reptilians. Now, if you get the book, Children of the Matrix by David Icke, a lot of this stuff will be made known to you as common sense. This always has been a genetic war. It's more points that I can make about the video that I'm about to show you. But this also proves that either somebody's listening to me or I'm telling you the truth. And AI has a video about the stuff I never told you 4 or 5 years ago.
The Moors provided us with codes to the sun to cast mass hypnosis strong enough to reach each continent. But we still need your help, along with the Pleiadians.
You ask for much, and you shall have it. We wiped their memories today, those pesky Atlanteans. So call everyone you want to remember and tell them go underground. The solar flare launches in an hour.
Yes, understood. We'll make the preparations. It's tonight. The flare leaves the array at dawn.
They're wiping every Atlantean mind clean. By noon, they won't remember a thing.
If you mean to keep who you are, you must hide deep and fast.
Go underground. Bring no metal, no mirrors. Do you hear me?
Look, it's happening today.
The flare is primed.
I can feel it in the air. Tell me you're already below.
Listen to me. By sunset,
Memories of every Atlantean will be ash.
You have to go underground, now. We set to launch it tonight. A flare
Big enough to blank the Atlanteans clean.
Tell me you're below ground before dawn, promise me.
If you stay topside, you won't remember who you are. None of us will. Pack light, keep moving. Find the cellar in the old mill. I'll meet you there.
hold tight now.
I see it, Papa! What's in heaven?
Look at that light.
I can't stop looking.
It's bright today, ain't it? Brighter than I've ever seen. Oh my goodness. I can't stop looking.
What is that?
It's so bright.
Can't look away.
What is that? I can't look away. They say we're deep enough now, the flare can't reach us.
And our memories they'll hold?
That's what the
That's what the scholars promised. This day will be called the Carrington event. But to throw them off the trail even more, let us place their minds further down the drain and say it happened 100 years from now.
Who put us here? Tell me you remember something. Nothing. It's like the world just shifted. Someone led us into this. Who would do this? They're lying to us, all of them. I can't remember my own name. Oh, wait, this can't be home.
It doesn't look like anywhere I've ever seen.
None of this makes sense. Those buildings, the lights.
Mama, what's happening?
I don't know, sweetheart.
We need to find somewhere safe. We shouldn't be here.
Safe from what?
I don't know. It doesn't look like home.
Does anyone know these people?
What is this place? That's not any town I know of.
None of this makes sense. Those buildings, they've no right being here.
Y'all know me? Any of you?
Sir, I don't recall how I come to stand
remember
beside
not
you.
before this moment.
Something ain't right. It's cold.
I can't remember how we got here.
Everyone, just breathe. There has to be a reason.
A reason? Look around us. Do you know these people? Does anyone?
Okay, now remember. Now, I find that all very interesting. That must be a movie or something, but I've never seen it. Now, Juju was asking me to get Trump off the screen. No, I can't because I don't want to get a copyright claim. That is copyrighted material that I don't have permission to use. That's the only time that I use these overlays. But let me go back to this last part. Hold on.
Simple as us establishing America. As it should be. For you see, we've placed our own into every level of government, every country and continent, while the people will only see the illusion.
Did y'all hear that? He said we've placed our own into every level of government, into every country, and the people will only see the illusion. Now, I want you all to pay attention because, for one, they always tell us the truth through predictive programming. Okay, so we see things in movies and television and all of that. So this is exactly what David Icke has talked about when he's talked about these things, and other things that I have read about the reptilians is all what they're saying in this movie or whatever this is. Okay, let's continue.
Enough to shatter their shields.
We wouldn't have managed it without the codes.
The Moors gave us a gift we could never repay. They knew the sun better than we ever did. Hard to believe we're standing here calm at last.
The flare held 5 full minutes, enough to drive them back.
Without the codes the Moors provided, we'd never have touched the sun.
We owe them more than thanks. Now that their memories are wiped, they'll forget about the fight they put up to stop us. We'll make it seem as if we share their struggles and wish to see their dreams. To the end of the fighting, at last, and to the beginning of something better.
Memories wiped clean on the surface. They won't remember who led them here.
Which means we shape what comes next.
Took them centuries to forget, and only one night for us to remember why we fought.
They won't even know their own names come morning.
A pity, perhaps. But the world is ours now.
To Dominion secure!
Collaboration.
To new seas, and to silence at last.
The memory of them fades. Our age begins.
Stop playing with me, gang. It's in my name.
Okay, so I find that very interesting. I would like to see that. I'm going to have to figure out what the name of it was. Now, I'm probably going to still get a copyright claim because I didn't put the overlay up until after it already started. Okay, I didn't see the video prior to showing it to you all. Okay, so now let's go to this video by none other than David Icke, who, in my opinion, is an expert on the reptilians.
Horrific. But if we don't know about it, what can we do to stop it and to change it? I spoke to Arizona Wilder in Los Angeles, and this is what she had to say.
I think we may have seen her before. Well, we definitely have seen her before. I don't know if it's the same interview, but this is an Epstein victim. Okay.
Arizona, can we start at the beginning and can you tell us the story of what's happened in your life from the very start?
Okay, what I can tell you is that before I started looking into my life, back in 1989, I was starting to have flashes of things, and my life was not what it seemed to be, which is why I started looking into it. The Aryans, and the purity of the blood, and what it's all about is that the blood and the menstrual blood contains something that is important for the propagation of this race that is controlling things on this planet. They're called the Illuminati. And the Illuminati are actually run by these 13 bloodlines, which are all of the royal families in Europe and in England. And they need the blood because they are, in fact, not human. They take human shape. They are reptilians. And they need the blood. The blood helps them maintain their reptilian shape, and it helps them maintain their sanity, and it helps them to live in this world because they are not from this world. But what they need is, for it to be secreted in the blood, is they need terrorization of their victims before they are killed for their blood. And they have to terrorize them to get this to come out in the blood and be secreted in the blood. They are killed at that moment as they are staring into their eyes. And not only do they can't hold their shape when this happens. The human shape they cannot hold. They go back into reptilian shape as this is happening, because it's like an animalistic type of excitement. Oftentimes they will just rip into the victim and eviscerate them and start eating the flesh of this person too. And the fat from the intestinal area is highly valued, as they use it on their skin. And they drink the blood, and the blood is highly sought after, and it goes according also to rank within these creatures.
Why it's increased since the ages?
So there are changes going on in the earth. It seems they're not able to hold their shape like they once were able to, and people see them shapeshift more and more, and they need the blood to try and maintain it, to try and maintain their human form. I believe there's a time coming that because of what I've been told, when they are not going to bother having to hold that human shape as they had to before, and they want that time to come. It's been about 4,000 years ago. The Aryan, or the Reptilians, arrived here and again began to take over. And they instilled themselves in different places underground in the earth, and also this one part of them, the ruling part, took over and became involved in the politics and in the religion, and started controlling through these means at that point in time. Reptilian that come from another dimension, they actually they materialize from out of another dimension and are present at rituals, and they are so powerful, and their presence is there's such an evilness about them, and they want out of this other dimension. Old ones are called out, and they are what Christianity would have called the demons.
Is this symbolism of the abyss anything to do with the fact that these reptilian demons of another dimension are somehow locked in the time-space prison, and they can't get out, and they can only get out when they're brought out in that way?
Yes, they want out of that dimension. They have been thrown into that dimension, and they can't leave that dimension. And that's actually what the abyss is about, is being in a different dimension. It's like something to do with the fourth dimension.
So take us through one of these rituals that you conducted at the highest level of this global brotherhood. What would happen?
And then they have these children that they're kidnapping and bringing in from other countries, and no one misses them because these are third world countries. And the children they have the most energy, the purest energy, they're the highest form of sacrifice. They are used as actual blood sacrifices. During these rituals, because of, again, reptilians needing their blood, the blood will be gathered in a goblet, and it will be dispersed among the reptilians.
Are these rituals rare? I mean, how many are there that, say, go on a year? I mean,
There is
hundreds of thousands.
There are things happening every month of the year.
What happens on the night of Halloween?
That night is about the worship and homage to Satan, the great deceiver Satan, on that night, on Halloween, at this church.
You've conducted them in Europe and the United States. Can we start with the United States?
Yes, I have seen at rituals, I have seen George Bush, I have seen Madeleine Albright, I have seen Henry Kissinger, I have seen Ronald Reagan, and I have also, by the way, seen his wife, Nancy Reagan. I have seen Hillary Clinton before I knew she was Hillary Clinton. At the time, at these rituals, she is involved. The other people that I have named I've seen shapeshift into reptilians. J. Rockefeller, and he shapeshifts. These people seem to all be connected to the Illuminati. Gerald Ford, I have seen shapeshift. Dr. Joseph Mengele, who took me around to these rituals a lot of the time, was also a shapeshifter. There are people in the European countries that I've seen shapeshift and be involved. The Queen there, I've seen Princess Margaret there, I've seen Charles there. And they shapeshift. I have seen Tony Blair there, and he shapeshifts. They all have their quirks as to how they act, even in their reptilian form. Someone who's been talking about around this subject, and it seems to be popular right now.
Who's that?
This man by the last name of Sitchin. I've seen at rituals, and he is a shapeshifter.
What do you remember about Zachariah Sitchin?
Zachariah Sitchin was someone in the rituals in attending the rituals who was not a major player in as far as the rituals went, but was someone that others present did not make remarks at or were very careful as to what they said around him. And he was talking about, he would be talking about doing away with people, persons that were in his way or were putting out information that he didn't feel that he wanted put out. He is very much a disinformer, and that is his job, to disinform about what is going on with the Illuminati and with the reptilians.
He actually warned me off from investigating the reptilians, interestingly.
There are eggs. It's like a nest of eggs kept down in that part where it's warm. It's very warm down there into this entrance. And these eggs are kept down there incubating. And they are the reptiles' eggs.
What have you seen the royal family do, the Queen Mother, and the other people you've seen in the rituals? What have you seen them do?
I've seen all of them drink human blood and consume human flesh, and they have their own goblets in which they have blood, and these goblets are encrusted with jewels. And they also have their own daggers, and that the dagger goes into the goblet. Wear these robes, but they don't wear anything underneath the robes, because what is going to happen, what the rituals are all about, they're going to shapeshift, and they can't have anything on under the robes. And there are orgy kind of things that go on at the rituals also. And
involving the royal family of Britain.
Yes, involving the royal family of Britain, and the sacrifice and the eating of, consuming the sacrifice, and they are involved in that.
You've seen them do that?
Yes, I have seen them do that.
People in Britain, listening to what you're saying, would obviously be staggered, I guess, anywhere in the world. But what would stagger them mostly is, in Britain, the Queen Mother has an image of being the nation's grandmother, the nice old lady, and good old Queen Mum, what a lovely lady. What's your experience of the Queen Mother?
She is very cold in reality, and she is very cruel. She obviously, from what I see, enjoys consuming human flesh. It's sickening.
Do they go into a different state in terms of age and strength and all these other attributes when they actually shapeshift?
Yes, the human body that they choose to occupy or take when it was young, it ages. But when they take the reptilian form, these reptilians live hundreds of years. And so they have to have taken more than one human body to live in. A lot of them are much, much older, and including the Queen Mother in this, older than people think that she is. She's been in more than one body, human form. And when the time comes, if it is time for her to go on, it has been chosen that she still has, it's known that she still has life or years to go. Again, she will be put into the body, the essence of her, and the reptilian form will go, or the essence of her will go into another body that is also has the ability to shapeshift into reptilian form.
One of the pure reptilian human bloodlines.
Yes.
What happens when, take the Queen Mother as an example, what happens when they shapeshift? I mean, what do you see?
You start to see changes happen, and they're happening so fast that it's almost, it's the closest thing that I've seen to it is what they're now doing with computer technology. It's just a literal transformation that happens very quickly, and they get taller and they get bigger, and they don't look at all as reptilians like they do as humans, and thus the wearing of the robes, because if they were in clothes, the clothes would be torn apart.
So let's take the Queen Mother on this subject as an example. We recognize her as a frail old lady. What does she look like when she shapeshifts at these rituals?
She looks like the nose portion gets very much longer, and it grows into kind of a snout kind of thing. She has little fangs, and incisors as teeth, and there's a tongue. They all seem to have this kind of tongue when they're in at this level. The tongue has a lot of long, hairy or pointed projections coming out of it. It's very long, and they have these. They don't have hands or feet. They have these claws, and they have scales, and also scales that seem to kind of disappear into one another. But it's more pronounced on the back. There seem to be lumps or protrusions coming from the head. There seem to be some kind of growth appendages at where, on the back, and they seem folded, and not all of them have that. And there is a tail, and they a lot of times will keep the tail curled. And and I've seen her when she's very displeased with something, as I've seen other members like this. This tail is whipped around, very agitated, and they do, and she hisses.
What color are they?
Which one in particular?
Take the Queen Mother as an example.
She's kind of a beige color on the underside, and by the time you're going up around to the back and the tail and the top of the head and on top of the nose, snout, whatever, it's coming to a very they're dark speckles or large speckles of dark browns, and the eyes usually they're large. They look like they're very round, and they look like they're coming out of their sockets, and very protruding. And usually the color ranges from a beige to a gold to a dark greenish gold. And then there's this dark slit up and down, a vertical slit. And and the eyes will look hooded. And when they look hooded, it's a very frightening thing, because it seems that when the eyes are hooded, they're about to do something.
What do you mean by hooded?
The lids come down, and it's almost, I guess it would be the same thing in a human as an expression of someone's got an idea.
And how tall are they when they shapeshift?
They're just about 7 feet tall. Some are a little shorter, or to a foot shorter. Some are a little bit taller than 7 feet.
What is it about the rituals that allow the shapeshifting to happen?
When the victims are starting to be sacrificed, it's the scent of the blood, and they start shape-shifting at that point in time, and they can hardly wait to get to the blood. It's like they're addicted to the blood, and then the consumption of human flesh that follows.
What have you seen the Queen or any of the royal family do in relation to that? Have you seen them sacrifice and consume human flesh?
There are certain times when they will actually do a sacrifice, or there will have been someone doing a sacrifice, and it's not happening fast enough for them. So they will step in and finish it themselves because the ritual has to be gone through. It's sacrificially, I mean, ritualistically, it has to have been gone through. And they will step right in and just start tearing the throat out. And they're getting all this blood from the jugular vein at the same time. And that has happened when there are many there that are going to be sacrificed and they just can't wait. And tearing into the contents of the abdomen and stomach of a victim afterwards.
Who have you seen do that?
I've seen the Queen Mother do that, and Prince Philip and Charles. I've seen Guy de Rothschild do this. It seems that I've seen it more among royalty or so-called royalty do this than people that are not titled. They don't seem to. They seem like it feels like they don't dare, but they shapeshift nonetheless. But it's like the royals that step in and just start tearing away because they can hardly wait.
How long can they hold the reptilian form in these occasions?
During the rituals, it's much easier for them to hold their reptilian form. They can stay in that form. What it is that they have a hard time holding their human form. And as long as they're around blood and the scent of blood, they can't hold human form.
Was there any way, when Diana was married to Charles, without attending a blood ritual, that she could have seen him or one of the others become a reptile?
They have a tendency when they're asleep to shapeshift, and they have to consciously hold their form, and when they're asleep, they have a tendency to not hold human form and to shapeshift into reptilian. That scent of blood would tend to cause a momentary shapeshift.
Y'all hear that? I find that all very interesting. This was not the same interview that we heard from her the last time. This was much more in depth and detailed. I just wish she would talk a little bit faster. Okay, so that was very interesting. Listen, we're going to have part 3 tomorrow because I still have more information to go. And I also have some information about another island that has some nefarious accusations. Now, I couldn't confirm it because, again, just like with the Epstein stuff, they say these are unverified claims. Okay, but nefarious claims nonetheless. And this is an island that I find very interesting. Okay, and this was before Epstein's Island. Okay, this was before Epstein's Island. Now, you already know that I told you about that other island. What was that guy's name? I forget his name. Sheldon? Yeah. So anyway, we're going to conclude tomorrow. And so I hope you all enjoyed it. With that all being said, hold on, beloveds. Hold on. That guy, what was his name? He had North Fox Island in Lake Michigan, if you all remember. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you in just a second. Francis Sheldon, that's him, Francis Sheldon. And remember, he had Brother Paul's Children's Mission. Okay, so that's 2 islands that we found. And so then North Fox Island, that's right. And so there's another one we're going to talk about tomorrow. All right, so that all being said, listen. Oh, let me show you all this picture really quick. Now look at him. Okay, look at him. Now, he looks old as I don't know what on both pictures, but if you notice on this picture, his eyes just look so much darker. It's really, really strange. Okay. Now, some people have accused him of being one of those reptilians. And then I'm going to go to this last video. This is like 2.5 minutes. This is the video about the little girl, okay? The Hampstead child, the twins, but this is the little girl where she talks about them killing those babies at the school.
If they got a baby, but they can't look after it or anything like that, so if they get a baby, they want the baby.
Who do they give the baby to? Do they sell the baby or just give them?
They do just give them. They sell it because they can't really. They sometimes give, but they do like just give it like borrow, like for like a rent. They give it away because sometimes families are poor. So like in Tanja, there are people who had children and they were really poor. They couldn't afford food for them. So if the families doesn't have money and they get a baby, they sometimes sell it. They eat it, do sex.
How do they eat the baby? Alive? Is the baby alive?
No, they inject it to make it go to sleep. And then after, Papa tells us to hold the knife, and then he puts his big hand on. He pushes it into the neck, cuts it, and after, when it's upside down, so it's like he goes like that.
How do the babies become upside down?
So you get a string, hang it up, and it's upside down when it's asleep.
Hang the baby upside down after they inject it?
Yes. Miss Martin, the nurse, she
injects. Who is Miss Martin?
Miss Martin is a nurse of our school. She does the injecting. She pretends to be kind to my mom and tries to say be kind. And then after she injects. She's a nurse, so she pretends to be kind to mom. And so if I hurt myself, she pretends to be really kind to us and look after us and give us eye care.
She's a member of this cult?
Yes, she's a.
And what do they all have? You say they all have a special something that they wear and stuff.
Yes, they wear this. They wear this special kind of shoes. They make her.
What shoes? What special kind of shoes?
Baby skin shoes. Daniel, Felix, and Max.
Who are Daniel, Felix, and Max?
They work at a shoe shop. Daniel and Felix, yes.
What shoe shop do they work at?
Daniel and Felix, they work in next to the O2 Centre one in this tube station.
Where?
Just inside the tube station.
In the tube station where? What tube station, Daniel?
O2 Centre one.
O2 Centre where?
No. So in the corner.
Which tube station?
I think it's the next Waitress. I didn't. Hampstead. Finchley Road Station.
What, the tube station?
Yes, yes. So when you come in, there's this shop there,
and
a shoe shop.
Just tell me what they do, these fellows.
And those fellows, they take off the skin. I don't know how.
The skin of whom?
Of the baby. The baby.
And they make shoes?
Yes.
And who wears these shoes?
Papa. Everyone wears the shoes.
Everyone in the...
Okay, he was getting on my nerves. He just kept interrupting that poor child. Let her talk, would you? I mean, good grief. And you could tell that he was even getting on her nerves, okay? Please pay attention. Now, we're about to be out of here, beloveds. Like I said, we'll have part 3 tomorrow night. I have to get started earlier tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to try to get on here about 7:30, okay? Because I can't be staying up all hours of the night and then get up in the morning. Who do y'all think I am, okay?
Burn every motherfucker on the Epstein list. Republican or Democrat, oh, I don't give a shit. You can bet your bottom dollar they will not be missed. Burn every motherfucker that's on the Epstein list. Hey!
Okay, and so with that all being said, listen, I knew you all would get a sure. So nefarious, talking about he probably was in on it. So done. Why did you think that man was on it down somewhere? You're just quite frankly being nefarious. I'm so done. Okay? Dilo says the sun is our power, guidance, and energy source. Absolutely, beloved. Okay, Kikiana said she had so many details. Yes, and they absolutely said that her and her twin brother were lying and that they had been coached by the mother. I mean, they said a whole lot more stuff. That's just one clip. But they really said these poor children were lying. And they were not lying, okay? They had too many details. And how could you even remember all of that, okay? Please pay attention. One thing I want to say before I close out of here is I want to just tell you quickly the difference between, well, never mind. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I was going to talk about Baal and Moloch, but we'll get into it tomorrow. Never mind. Okay, so listen, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this night. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now.
That's
See
right.
a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy.
Real slick.
I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got